Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to the Fix This Build That Sunday Night Live show. I'm Brad.
And I'm Susan.
And I hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm just getting back from a week in LA. I was out in LA for Vid Summit, which is a YouTube conference where there's a bunch of YouTube makers, creators, creators from all over different industries, beauty and health and camera and tech and everything in between. And there were a few DIY people there. But I had a chance to meet my editor, Chris. Today we're just gonna talk about some woodworking stuff. Talk about some things that are coming up because we have a video that I think you guys are gonna be interested in. And actually, I'll just also get some feedback from you guys on what types of tips and tricks videos, because we want to try to mix some of that stuff in there and not just have the build one, which take longer to create, take longer to produce, and all of that good stuff. So those are some of the things we're thinking about. But I tell you what, the conference was really awesome. It was eye-opening for just a lot of different things about how to create, how to most effectively run the channel, and really got my mind going on what kind of new things that we want to do, how we want to change things up and just keep things fresh for both me and for the audience. So anyway.
I had a conference. It was called Single Parent Conference for the week. No, seriously.
It's called Single Parent.
Any single parent out there, oh my gosh, I don't know how y'all do it. Because first of all, we had the craziest week of the year maybe. With kid activities, it was just nonstop day after day. And then Brad wasn't here, and it just made me realize how much I rely on you being here. It was a lot. It was a lot. I was exhausted.
Like a warm body. I just
No. But it was good. How many times, I have a question for you. How many times did you eat In-N-Out burger while you were in LA?
Only twice.
Only 2 times. I thought you did it 3 times.
No, twice.
No.
2 times at In-N-Out. Love In-N-Out. Love the shakes. It's more like symbolic and iconic.
You're about to ruffle some feathers here.
No, I'm just either way, because I had a lot of people DMing me, or like, that's not the best burger, and and I'm like, yeah, it's not the best burger, but the shakes are amazing.
The shakes are really good.
But you know who else is amazing?
We had it in Denver, and it was
who else is amazing is our new Builders Club members.
Yes,
so why don't we get a chance to thank them right now?
Let's do it.
We had Mark Cole.
Yep.
I'm going with Zaeudora.
Oh, I like that.
ViewerBart, Momz, and Andrei, Berent, Skårdal.
Wow.
I am so sorry. I am absolutely 100% sure I butchered that. But thank you so much, you guys, for joining the Builders Club, and they are now part of the inner circle of the Fix This Build That audience. They get access to free plans and mentions in the lives as well as in the full videos and early access. And they get your name. Like, if you get a good name, like your mom's, I mean, come on. That's great. I'm sure these other folks are amazing as well, but I'll butcher your name if
well, we do our very best. We give it a shot. We give it a good shot.
If you are interested in checking it out, head over to fixthisbuildthat.com/builders-club if you want to be part of the team and help support the channel. So thank you so much, and thank you to all those Builder Club members who are here.
That's right. Thanks for joining us.
Speaking of which, let us see who is here. Let us see. That sounds like a punk band.
Let us see.
Let us see.
And I could picture
like a head of lettuce in a sea.
See, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that would be so funny.
I like that.
We missed our calling, guys. If we were, you could have been in a band. Me, not so much.
No.
I could be in charge of the merch or something.
Yeah.
I'll just be a groupie.
You could get the tambourine.
The tambourine.
I think you can handle that.
I'd just be up there. I played piano growing up. I'm not completely not musical. I'm just not a singer per se.
Your singing is wonderful. All right, who else do we have here? Cody Miller was in hot early, 20 minutes early. Love it, Cody.
Hey, Cody.
We got Katie. We have Stan. Who else do we have up here?
Sing that one.
I know, I was like, Stan. They were just having a whole conversation trying to get to the next people. Alan, Will, Pat Kavanaugh, and Travis Porter. Simo, what's up, Simo? And Scott is here as well. What's up, guys? What's up? All right.
What's up?
So,
is it time
for the beer
of the week? Beer of the week.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this beer.
Beer of the week.
I picked it out.
You did pick it out.
I did.
Katie
Katie?
Was the supporter
I was
provider.
thinking of you,
courtesy
Katie.
Thanks for the super chat and super stickers. We went ahead and grabbed
Yes.
some. So Sierra Nevada, you guys know, is one of
You can't really see
our
that.
fan favorites.
Yes.
And so Fantastic Haze Imperial IPA.
I mean,
Quite a bit better than a Bud Light, I would assume.
so a strong hazy IPA sounds
This
really
is,
interesting
this
to
is,
me.
9% ABV.
9%.
So that's like 3 Bud Lights.
Jeez Louise, I didn't realize it was that strong.
When anything Imperial is like
Yes,
heavy
that's
duty.
true.
So we're going to break in and see.
We are
see
going
what
to
we
crack
can
them
see.
open. Let me smell it first. Ooh, it smells good.
It does. It
smells
smells just like a
really
hazy. Delightful.
Oh, that's delicious.
Wow, that does not taste like 9%.
No, this would
There's
be
no like
dangerous.
kick to it. Man, that's tasty.
It's so good.
We're gonna
Okay.
give this one 2
I'm really
big
glad
thumbs
I'm
up.
drinking it tonight because this is delicious.
Yeah, that's tasty. Awesome, fantastic.
If you
Haze
see this
Imperial
in the
IPA.
store and you're thinking about
Thank you
it,
so much, Katie,
it's good.
for the contribution
Yes, thank you, Katie.
to Beer of the Week, and
Yay.
that is a tasty beer.
It's really good.
All right.
Delish.
Will, we're not going back. We're never going back to 10 p.m. Eastern. We're keeping it at 8:30.
We're never
Susan
going
thought
back.
We went all the way up to 8.
Dude,
She's like,
I was crazy. And then I got 30 minutes back in my
I know.
evening.
She's like, it's not at 8. I was like, no. It's
I
at
don't know. It's been a week, folks. I'm just happy to be here.
All right, Simo asks, what birch plywood do I buy? Do I get it from Home Depot or a hardwood
It's a
dealer?
very good question.
Good question. So, referencing the earlier conversation, we were thinking about doing some videos and tips and trick
Yes.
videos on how to pick plywood, how to pick and buy it, how to work with it, handle it. So,
Right. How to know which variety would work for your projk.
yeah.
I think a lot of people get like that are maybe newer, maybe
That's
not,
one of the
overwhelmed with
and
it.
for a lot of you who are here week in, week out, you have seen people come in. They always love to ask, where do I get my Baltic birch, or like what kind of plywood do I use, which is a fantastic question. Simo has asked that as
Totally.
well. But yeah, so that's going to be something. I'll probably split it up and have like one just totally on selection and like really break down
Right.
the differences in plywood and what each one is good for, because there's so many different options. I mean, you have like exterior like BCX style, and if you're like a complete noob and you just go in the plywood aisle, there's like 25 varieties
Yes.
and you don't know what to pick.
Well, and like I don't know if this is true for anybody else, but I think if I was like at Home Depot or Lowe's or something, and there's all this plywood, I'd be overwhelmed and be like, everybody else looks like they know what they're doing, and they're just going and getting what they need, and it's a little
Yeah, there's a lot of
intimidating. Like you want to be able to
contractors and stuff
like
grabbing that
walk
too.
in and be like, this is the one that's going to work for me. Like there's a lot to be said for having that knowledge.
is.
Like
But the stuff that I
going in.
typically buy, so the birch is actually if I'm using it for cabinets exposed, I'll do the Baltic birch. If I'm using, which is from a hardwood dealer or local
Yes,
plywood
they
dealer.
don't-
If I'm using it for paint, I have used in the past the sanded ply. I will never use that if I can get away with it on painted projects again, because it's just so like porous. The grain is like really crappy in the
that
sense
last
that it's
batch
like
you had was really bad too.
yeah, everything has gotten bad. Me and my dad were looking
The
for
prices, the quality.
well for 2x4s. Dad and I were looking for 2x4s.
This was like a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
I was literally buying them just to use to put under the plywood, because the way my truck goes, it's kind of weird. It'll dip, and then I learned that lesson the hard way. I let the wood
and
on
then
there,
it'll
and it
bow.
potato chipped on me. Anyway, so I was just getting a couple 2x4s, but I was like, well, I want to get decent ones so I can use
Right.
them later for something else.
How much was that? You had to
No,
take
it
out a
wasn't-
mortgage for it?
No. They're cheap now.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, like 92.7% of them had live edge. Like, so,
Really?
we're not
On a
talking slabs
2x4?
here, like the corners. So it's like what you'll typically find on 2x4s is that they'll cheat on like one of the corners, and one of the corners will be like bark. So like bark inclusions or something at some point, or either the whole thing.
It sounds so fancy. Bark inclusions.
Yeah, I was really amazed, and I don't know if you guys are seeing this as well, but like honestly, it was like 95% of these 2x4s had bark on one of the four corners, either the whole way down or at least in a spot that was like a foot long. I was like, what the heck, man? I mean, it was, and I know, like, water supply and stuff, so they're having to harvest trees earlier, I assume, or they're just trying to squeeze more out of it because You know, the
Probably,
reason
yeah.
that happens is because the trees are smaller, right? And you're at the edge and you can only get so much out. So, yeah, I was really put off by that. But anyway, so same thing on plywood is that the plywood I got is the birch plywood. So if I'm painting, I will use that and instead of the sanded ply. But the birch plywood, my gosh, I just got rid of a bunch of scraps. But the veneer was like so thin. It was like tissue paper thin. And you could see, even as thin as it was, you could see, this was like these Chinese stuff, and they use this like red glue. And so you could see the red glue. And then I cut a piece, and there was like a piece of like plastic hanging. Like it was
What?
like,
I didn't know about that.
bad.
Or the red glue.
Oh, well, that's natural,
When did
but
you
it's
use
like
this?
on the cabinet in there. But I painted it, so it covered all that up.
Oh,
But
right.
so, you know, if you get the stuff from Home Depot, even at the $60, you're not getting a quality sheet of plywood. So you're
That's
getting,
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate, but the birch is nice and smooth, and so I'd much rather paint that than the sanded ply.
Right.
And the sanded ply, I think I talked about this last week, was like $77 or 78 or 79, and the other stuff was only 60. So
Oh,
it was
so
even
the one that's better for painting on was cheaper than the
Yeah.
sanded ply.
yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, if you are
Crazy.
looking to use birch to have a finished, you know, exposed like birch face, and then you're going to edge band it or do whatever, I would definitely upgrade and go to a higher quality birch than like what you would get at Home Depot, because that stuff is trash these days. I mean, for like having a nice birch finished face, don't do it. If you can get it anywhere else, or you know, get it a better quality, then I would pay the extra money and get an $80 sheet, and you know, spend the extra 20 or 40 or $60 for 2 or 3 sheets,
Crazy.
and you know, it's going to be a lot better product. Good question, Simo. Ooh. All right, Daniel Pikes, what's up, man? You know, you're not late. It's just like we could have started right now. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
All right, so here Katie is trying to figure out how to get brews to us. Just are breaking federal law via the mail or breaking federal law by driving it through several states.
Oh, geez.
Katie, we opt through breaking the law through the mail.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, a
ask, don't tell.
certain member here of the community has broken the law several times. I was like,
We will not name
what are they going to do?
names.
It's not like they're
Right.
going to, just don't put a return address on it and you'll be fine. Like, you know, we've had beer shipped to us many
feel
times,
like
which is funny
people-
because you can buy beer. Like you can buy beer
Yeah.
from like these variety
Companies?
boxes or whatever,
Yeah.
like the monthly
Yeah.
gift boxes. So like,
So how is that allowed?
right, how can they do
They
it?
must have some
it's
special. I
commercial.
bet they pay way more or
But,
something to
you
be able
know,
to like ship it.
I mean, it just shows.
It all comes
Katie
down
is,
to money.
Katie is a stand-up individual, and she wants to
is.
do the right thing.
Yep.
Which I do too. But you know, something like that, yeah, I don't care.
I just feel like there could be
what are they
some-
gonna do? Worst case scenario, they like throw it in the trash.
Or let's be real, someone at the United States Post Office is
Just
like, oh,
throws it
this
back.
is illegal. Gonna take it home.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not, but
Yeah.
doubtful.
All right.
They got bigger fish to fry.
Let's see here. Ryan Matthews put in a new window yesterday. Awesome.
All right.
A video series on plywood. Daniel says, awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Scott already says, how do you think I send him beer? That's right.
We don't mention it.
It will. The old school. Oh, St. Ides. Oh, dude. St. Ides, my gosh. The Crooked Eye.
What?
Malt beverage. It's like a malt liquor beer. St. Ides. This is like, you get them in the 40s.
What was that? The one that was the rose of something, or no?
Oh, I don't know.
This is. I don't think it was
I
a
was
malt
looking at
liquor
your
beer.
shirt, and it's like the Rose Apothecary.
You know this is from.
No idea.
It's from a TV show.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It sounds gonna sound like a cuss word on here. It's,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
yeah, I was thinking like I probably shouldn't say that out loud. It's not bad.
When did you get that? Did you get that off like
I got it
Amazon
at
or something?
Target. No,
Oh,
they had it at
okay.
Target like last week.
Okay.
I
Right
thought
on.
it was fun.
Right on.
Anyway,
Yeah, put somebody else. Put whoever, like the person that's close to you, Katie, that you have a grudge against. Just put their name on the return address.
they did it, not me. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Radiata Pine. Oh, Scott. Radiata Pine is hit or miss. I've bought some really good Radiata Pine, and I've bought some really bad Radiata Pine. I think you could probably say that for almost any wood. But in general, the problem with Radiata Pine is that, in my experience, you will have one good face, and then the other face is just trash, just like you can see. So when they do the radiata pine, I don't know what they call it, but it's like an axial cut, or like a, almost like unrolling the paper towels. Like that's how they take the plywood off. So they peel it in a, like you're peeling a carrot or something. Actually, that would be like that way. But anyway, like you're unwinding it,
Yeah.
like a Debbie Swiss roll. Swiss roll.
But not where I thought you were gonna go.
And what happens is you get like right at the spot where branches have come through, so you got like knots, and it's just knots all the way across, just like heavy, boom, boom, boom. Because pine, like a pine tree grows a trunk, then you have the branches, trunk, branches, and so you have clear sections, and then you have the sections with the wood, and like on the back, it's just like they're just disgusting. So if you're trying to do shop projects, I just like don't want to like look at that in the shop. So I have like painted things like that before, but I have had other ones where I've had two clean faces. So if you can find those, that's great. The nice thing about radiata pine is that I believe it's 5 ply, Scott, or it might even be 7. It's 5 or 7 ply, and the outer ply, it doesn't have a veneer. The outer ply is full thickness, so it's not like a poplar core plywood, which will have like 5 plies and then a super thin, super duper thin veneer on the outside. You will have just 5 or 7 full plies. So that outer ply, like you can just sand it a bunch because it's not going to burn through. That is a very nice thing about radiata pine. So if you can find some that looks decent, yeah, but a lot of it's just so buggered up. It's just buggered up. That's right. James McIntyre, what's up, man? Brian Farnt in the house as well. What's up, guys? Let's see here. Oh, I see. So Scott has clarified. He says UPS and FedEx can ship alcohol. It's against postal regulations, but they're reviewing it because apparently they're missing out on $9 billion of parcel shipments.
You would think so. It does seem kind of unfair that because they're like the government organization.
Scott's son is a postmaster, so I guess he would know.
Well, I guess you would know.
Scott, does your son know?
He knew the way to do it then.
Yeah, Scott's son approved it. He's like, yeah, Dad, just send him the beer. It's all good.
It's funny. Well, that's interesting.
Yes, medium flat rate box and just boom, right in there.
Send us beer.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. Jonathan Arises, what's up, dude? Seema went to Menards today. I wish we had a Menards here, just for another option.
I don't think I've ever been in a Menards.
They put one in Cincinnati, like right before we left.
With the escalator, right?
I have no idea.
Oh no,
it seems like a horrible idea.
They have an escalator
in a home improvement store.
I am fairly certain.
It seems like the worst idea ever.
It's
unless
you put it's a 2-story Menards in Cincinnati. If anyone's in Cincinnati or you've been to the Menards in Cincinnati, let me know if I'm crazy. I'm fairly certain whatever. They put a Menards in Cincinnati, which was a big deal because I don't know why, but we don't have them in Ohio normally.
Because they're north.
Yeah, they're northern. So we were like, we also have a Tim Hortons, and we're like the southernmost Tim Hortons, I think, in that whole because that's Canadian.
Yep.
I don't know how we went up with the Tim Hortons, but whatever. So the Menards, I believe I heard, but I don't think I ever went in, had an escalator where you went up on one side and like your cart could go up on the other. I think.
That's cool.
But I can't prove that for a fact.
Birch plywood, some of the birch and others had a few voids on the edges and seams, like their quality is not as good. Yeah, that's what you're gonna find at the big box stores, and that is so like with the cabinets like this. And watch, I'll probably see, look at this.
Look at all those plies.
This is, and I know you guys can't see it like super close, but what you'll notice if there's no big voids. Because this is Baltic birch. So there's like a little tiny void, and you can probably not even see it on the screen, but there's a little itty bitty one here. There's a little knot here, but it's still fully, there's like a little knot, but it's there.
What about this door?
Hey man, don't look too, that one's like
beautiful.
that
one's perfect.
Perfect. So that's what you typically get.
Well, that makes sense because it matches.
That's what you typically get when you upgrade to like a Baltic birch.
Ooh, it smells good too.
So much higher quality. That's just the VOCs of all the finish in there.
I like the VOCs.
and so you typically, and you will still get voids with Baltic birch sometimes, but typically they're very much fewer and far between, and they're not as large because you've got 11 or 13 plies versus 5 plies. Like if you have a big chunk missing out of 5 plies, you know, it's going to be a lot bigger just by the nature of the size of it.
Have in the last video, or did you just show me that you set down like a nailer or something on the wood? Was that in the video?
No, I did a story on it on Instagram, but and
Okay.
I should have put it in the video, but I was like, we were running long on
trying to get it
time, so I
done.
was like, and so I had a sheet. I was putting 1/4-inch bottoms on the drawers, and I was like, I don't know if I wasn't quite bump firing, but I was firing the nailer, and then I went to like put it on the next one, except I like moved it to the side for some reason, like put it down. Maybe I was going to adjust the camera, and I like set it down.
Just normally.
On the nose, just like boom.
You weren't
and
like
it just
slamming it in there or anything.
It just like just broke through.
Oh,
the
completely
plywood.
through the box, right?
Yeah, I was like, what on earth just happened? And what happened is like 1/4-inch plywood only has a single ply, so it's typically a poplar core and then some veneer on it. And yeah, there was a knot in it, and I hit it right at the knot. So the only thing that was holding the whole plywood together was those 2 micro thin sheets of veneer, and the nailer just went straight through it. I was like, are you kidding me?
That was not a good moment.
Yeah, and so, but I was able to like,
What did you do?
What did I do? I used
ninja'd
CA glue. Like the bottom was just completely. Luckily, that was on the bottom.
Yeah.
So the bottom was completely blown out, but it just kind of like pierced through the top.
Yeah, and it was at the very back of
It
the
just kind of
drawer
like
too, right?
did one of these numbers, and so I just kind of like pushed the fibers down and put CA glue in there and like,
Yeah.
and you know,
Cheated it.
you'll never know.
Well, now you do, because we just
Now
told
you
you.
do, but yeah, it's all good.
We just told you.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have here?
Oh, they've got a 2-story Menards at our local store. Most of the bath and kitchen are upstairs. Okay, does it have an escalator where you can take your cart up? That's what I need to know. Menards is awesome. Okay.
This guy said his son tells him to quit sending me beer. That's awesome.
I don't know, but yeah.
2 stories. There you go.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because, right, like if you
upstairs
have...
would be like the small stuff, you know.
Well, that's what they said, kitchen and bath,
bath.
right? But it makes sense
What
that,
if
like,
you get in a shower? Shower
Okay.
pan.
well, you
Sink.
got to take the escalator.
I know.
I'm thinking, I don't know. But I'm saying it probably maybe it makes sense because, you know, you can have a bigger store if you're going up versus like however much square footage you have going
Absolutely.
out. Plus, it's kind of maybe like a thing that they do, it sounds like.
It's a thing.
Because, like, I've never seen a 2-story Lowe's or Home Depot. Have you?
Nope, I have not.
I haven't.
Brian
Maybe they have 'em.
Farth says, does painting with a sprayer make a noticeable difference? Trying to decide whether or not to buy one. That is a great question because it's can be a big investment, and you know, you look at different things. I think it's like anything, is that you can get like a super cheap sprayer for like $100 or under. And if you wanted to hook one up to a compressor, you get it even cheaper than that. You get like a Harbor Freight, like a little HVLP gravity fed one for $35. Might be a little bit more than that now, but back in the day, you get one for 20 or 30, $35. But you have to have the right size compressor for that. So I would more recommend the HVLP kind of standalone turbine ones, personally. And again, so you can get the entry level, and you might not have a good experience. Mainly, what's going to have the difference between like a really cheap one and a more expensive one is going to be control. So let me just back up and kind of answer your question. Is that yes? It all depends. Everything in woodworking depends because it's all about your situation. Right there.
Yeah, good.
So if you're doing a lot of intricate work, or when I say intricate work, I'm like more like corners and like, you know, stuff that you would have to cut in with a brush instead of being able to roll it with like a foam roller or something, it's going to save you a lot of time. And the more quantity, obviously. So if you've got, 3 parts, it's probably easier to brush them. If you've got 30 drawer fronts, it's probably easier to spray them. So it kind of scales with what you're thinking about doing there. So Brian, to think about that is like, how much am I going to use it? And at any one singular time, how many pieces am I going to be painting? And how involved are they going to be? Because if you have something that has a bunch of spindles and you have to paint like 4 sides of a spindle, like if you're doing like a deck railing or something like that, just thinking on a bigger scale, spraying that versus painting that is going to be way faster. So then diving back into what you get for a more expensive one versus a cheaper one, you're going to get more control. You're typically going to get more choices for needles, so which helps with like atomization. Oh, I just blew a bubble. That was crazy.
How did you blow a bubble?
Sometimes I'm just talking and bubbles fly in my mouth. I don't know.
Puff the Magic Dragon over here. We're showing our age.
I didn't say it. You said it.
Now I'm going to have that song stuck in my head.
You're like Puff the Magic Dragon over here.
There you go.
That's a decent one. And so
I'm here to serve.
And so when you get that, the different options, and basically also what it's going to do is allow you to paint thicker things. It's very easy to paint thin, to spray thin things like stain or polyurethane, something like that. As you start going up into paints, latex paints, or I'm trying to think of what's like a thicker, anything that's got some meat to it, like a water-based. Anything water-based is going to be, well, not anything water-based, but like a water-based finish or a stain, typically going to be thinner. You start getting like semi-transparent deck stains. That's going to be thicker. And then your thickest is going to be like a tinted paint, like a latex paint. Or
tinted or tinted?
Tinted.
It sounded like tinted. I was picturing a tent. Tint.
Oh, not like tinted, like color.
I was thinking meant like under a tent, like
no,
tinted.
because when you tint paint, it gets thicker because they have to put in all the color in there. Anyway, so the more powerful your sprayer, the less you have to thin the liquid that you're spraying to get good atomization. And so that atomization is just like how fine the particles are coming out of the spray gun. And the thicker they are, the more you'll get that like orange peel look, if you've heard that term. Like if you look at the surface of an orange, it's all
you don't want
ripply.
that.
You don't want that. And so that's kind of the thing. So it's a wide spectrum, Brian. And
there's a lot to think about.
There is a lot to think about. I've got the Flexio 5000, which I've been using to spray latex paint, and I thin a lot to get down to something that works. But it works well.
It looks nice when it's done.
It works well.
There's a girl that I follow on Instagram, and I feel like she sprays everything. But they're in her garage. She's got this trim that's like, it's like a wainscoting kind of trim out there, kind of, but rough wood because it's in the garage. And she painted it, and it was so smart because she sprayed it. She had to do 3 coats on there to get it to absorb. But I think painting that by hand would have taken so much longer.
Right.
So that was like it was a big project.
But that's also the trade-off with spraying is that the actual spraying goes faster, but the setup and the tear down and cleanup is a lot longer. So again, you want to be spraying a lot of stuff for it to make sense.
You wouldn't bust that out for like a 10-minute job, most likely.
Because it's more like hauling out the and think about where you're going to spray to, because spraying in a garage is a horrible idea unless you like really right. But if you have to. You need to have the garage door open and be like ventilating, and then have up your like Dexter tent area with all the plastic sheathing and everything. Because if you don't, everything will be covered in
She had a
fine
thing
layer of
that I was going to tell you about. It was this trim board thing that, like, if you were spraying the wall up to where the ceiling is or the floor, you can hold it up there. Have you ever seen this? To kind of prevent it from spraying. Yeah, to prevent it from spraying up there. But I think it would just kind of do some preventing. It's not going to be perfect, unless you completely tape everything off, like you're saying.
Yeah,
that's the only way you can for sure.
Like when they were painting that house down the road, they were doing like the shutters, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's spraying that.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember them doing that.
Well, so they painted the entire house white.
Oh, that house. I think about Mr.
back there.
Oh, yeah.
And then they painted the entire house white. And then they went back and painted the shutters on the and this was like brilliant white. This wasn't like off white.
Oh no,
like
it's
the house is like
toothpaste white.
Shiny.
Yeah.
And instead of, it's hilarious because I haven't used a white toothpaste in like years. I know. Like the mint strip. You gotta have the mint strip. Anyway. And so he was spraying this on this white house. He didn't tape anything. He just had one of those big shields. Oh, yeah. And he was like sticking it behind there, and then I was like, my gosh.
It was interesting.
Because I was like, any kind of overspray would have.
But
they didn't even take them off the house. They just sprayed them right on the house.
They just sprayed it right on there. If a shutter falls off that house, you can see some red brick behind it. Yeah, but it is beautiful now.
People are crazy.
People are. I mean, but it looks good. So he must have known what he was doing. Like that dude, it was not his first day on the job.
Not his first rodeo.
No. Especially right now with everybody painting their houses white. Or not everybody, but a lot.
All right.
And I did search because I just saw the Menards comment. Yes, Menards has, I don't think they're the only ones, but they have these like conveyor belt looking things where you take your cart on it. I pulled it up, and it's an escalator to take you up. But how cool. The next time we're in
cool.
Cincinnati, I want to go to Menards just so I can ride up the escalator.
I used to work at a
You're not that
grocery
impressed
store.
with
I used to work as
with retail
grocer,
things.
and I think we did have one out in
Kroger?
Portland.
Yeah.
There was a Fred Meyer that was 2-story, but then there was another one that was there. I used to go visit a bunch of grocery stores to like get to see what the best of the best were doing and all that good stuff.
It was a very exciting job. Oh, it was pretty cool though.
And they would have escalators at some of these, and you put your card on it, and it.
I mean, I think that'd be so cool.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Right. What else we have here? Oh yeah, Katie says Brad will forever know that imperfection is there, and I will.
Yes, you would.
I know.
That's true.
Ryan, do we have a good recommendation for an air compressor? Leaning towards Craftsman DeWalt, just for the nailer. I tell you what I would really recommend, Ryan, is look at the low noise, the silent air compressors, because man, having a silent air compressor is awesome. There's one brand. It's like California something. I don't know if it's California Air Tools. I don't know. That's one brand, and then there's another one. I have no idea what the name is, but there's a few that are like known for making silent air compressors. But then there's also other brands have silent styles. Like I have this Husky one, and again, it depends upon what you're looking for. It's a 6-gallon, I believe, and it's like a tote, and it's a silent. I think it's more Roland. I think is actually the one I was thinking about. ROLAND, I think. But there are a lot of ones out there that are like super quiet. And if you've ever had like that old, oh
my gosh, it sounds
the ubiquitous like Porter cable.
I want to hear your impression of you're really
you
good
don't
at
like blow them out.
No, you do, but like a quiet version of it.
A quiet version is.
You're always good at like busting
have
out
a
with
quiet
these
version
noises.
of a loud thing.
It's like,
I know.
Like I don't like. How would you do
Just
that?
like that. That's exactly how I would do it.
I made a cicada noise earlier. I was pretty impressed with
That
myself.
was not a cicada noise, by the way. That was like a screeching banshee noise or something.
How do you do a cicada? I tried.
Yeah. But yes, go check those out. Look at something that's silent, because especially if you're going to be using it in the same area, because that's like the worst when you're like.
They do get really
And if
loud.
you leave it on and you have like a slow leak, and then you're just like, I don't know, whatever, you're about to like mark something or make a cut with like a handsaw, and it's like, and you're like,
that was the noise I was looking for.
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive.
That's never fun. I never leave my air compressor on because I'm filming and everything. Anyway, yeah.
So did
I
you
would
have
say,
a bad experience with loud noises when you were a kid or something?
you know the answer to that.
No, I don't.
That time? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm serious.
No, I am. I need to.
Like true confession
I feel like this
style.
should be a T-shirt. I am like, I am over sensory.
Yes, you are.
All my senses are kind of heightened.
He's like, if you ever heard of like a super smeller, like people that get paid to
people have all
smell
heard this.
scents and stuff. I've told this before.
We've seen this.
And
we've talked
tasting.
about it. So taste, sound, sight's just
Your
normal.
eyesight is really good though.
It's good, but I'm
okay,
like,
speaking
because I'm
from
old,
the girl that can't see anything.
but hearing, smelling, tasting, I kind of like, everything.
How about feel?
Feel.
Are you like Spider-Man? You're like, ooh, like all your little follicles stand on that.
I can't taste like like super strong. That's why I don't really like whiskey or bourbon, because it's like super.
I do love you
strong for
so
me.
much, but you are very picky as a eater.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are.
Are you kidding me? Let's hear this. Because I am not at all.
I
am the guy that says like whatever there is, I will eat it because I don't want to throw it away.
That is true. I will give you that. However,
let's hear it. I want to hear this.
For instance, today when I gave you that pumpkin spice cookie, you were like, "Ooh, the aftertaste on this is disgusting."
There's a difference. So here's the difference. People help me out here. To me, a picky eater's like, no, I don't want to eat that because
that's not what I mean. I mean, you are.
I'm not picky.
You never have a lack of feedback.
Because I've got all the extra senses.
When we first got together,
I ate the thing, and
I didn't make it, so I didn't care.
I was like, it has like an aftertaste,
Anyway, when we first,
the aroma, you guys know what I'm
our
talking
first
about.
Christmas or second Christmas together when we were dating, he was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was the girl that said I wanted a mixer because I had this little pan mixer.
I get a vacuum cleaner, a mixer. Hello.
I think that's a person. I'm gonna go check. Child.
There's a child.
To be continued.
No, we're not continuing this at all. I think that's more than enough. T-Hub, what is up, my man? What is up? And Will said, check out the Husky Quiet Compressor. I've got the one right there. That's exactly the one I was talking about. Dennis Miko, what's up, dude, from West Virginia. California compressor is quiet. Simo, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah, she has no idea what she's talking about. That's not being a picky eater. That's having a, I was going to say introspective, having a palate that can sense differences in food and a mind that is willing to say it, which is not always the best thing, by the way. I say, that's good. Yeah, opinionated? No, never. Never. Never, never, never. All right, what woodworking questions do we have out here? Because, I could talk about food and beer and everything all night, but I'm sure there's some burning questions that you guys would love to hear answers to. All right, what else we got here? But by the way, just while we're waiting for all the loads of questions to roll in, the trip out to California was pretty awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to get out there, and there's a bunch of people, a bunch of woodworkers and makers out in California that I would have loved to spend time with. My old editor is out there. Speaking of which, I got to meet in person our editor Chris, and I posted on Instagram. So if you ever wonder who our editor is, what he looks like, the man behind the edits, go check the Instagram account. I put a picture of us at In and Out there. But yeah, there's so many people out there, man. I'm just like, I had like 3 or 4 people that afterward, they're like, you were in California and you didn't text me. I talked to Taylor. We were like, I was trying to figure out if I could go there, but I just couldn't make it happen. And it wasn't like right around the corner. But I would love to go back out to California and just do like a little trip. Go hang out with some of the makers in LA, and J-Cats, my buddy, is up there in Santa Barbara, so not too far away, and head up to wine country and go see Jory Brigham. There's a bunch of awesome makers out in California, and it's nice out there when everything's not on fire, at least. Yeah, thank you, Alan. A discriminating palate. That is exactly what it is. Nathan, what is up, man? Where do you get all of your clamps from? That's a very broad question, Nathan, because I have a boatload of clamps. But so I'll kind of address specific ones to where I get them from. I've had most of these clamps for a long, long time at this point. But the parallel clamps, I used to do the Woodcraft 50% off sale for jet clamps. Unfortunately, Woodcraft doesn't even carry the jet clamps anymore, so they don't have that. And they have their Bessie, they have deals on the Bessie clamps, but they're not quite that 50% off one anymore. Back when they did that, it was every Black Friday they would have the 50% off. They did it for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And every year I would just rack up on them because those parallel clamps are expensive. So, at 50% off, they're still expensive in my opinion, at least for some of them. And so that's where I got a lot of them from. And then same thing with the F clamps, honestly. Like I'm a sucker for a good deal. So whenever clamps are on sale, that's when I load up. And I get them from whoever's got them on sale. Whether, Woodcraft had a bunch of those. I've got a bunch from Home Depot from they're like the F-style clamps. They'll do a 6-inch and 12-inch package combo during the holidays sometimes. The Bessie ones, the little Bessie F-stop clamps. I've gotten quite a few for Christmas presents, actually, because clamps are like smaller clamps. Smaller clamps like quick grip clamps. What do you call them? Quick clamps? Is that what they call them? Quick release clamps. And F-style clamps and like little spring clamps. Those are great things to like give to people if they're asking, like that, somebody that wants to spend $20 to $50 on you and they don't know what to get you. That those are great options. Oh yeah, I saw that coming. We're having some child issues. Yeah. So this is going to be the downfall of the Sunday Night Live. Some of our kids can't handle the change, and not having that full bedtime routine to have us up there, snuggling with them for half hour. But yeah, that's where I get the clamps from. And Nathan, so for me, I just go where the deal is and try to figure out a clamp that I need and then pick them up. I really like Bessie clamps. They're awesome. The Irwin or Quick Grip? Is there Irwin Quick Grip quick grip. I don't know. There's been a lot of new brands out there now, and I haven't used a lot of them. I think we pulled them out. I was talking about the Pony Jorgensen ones. Those seem okay. The quick grip, I just don't like the mechanism of it. So I'd also do that, because that's the one thing about clamps, is that a lot of them are the same, but then at the same time, for like parallel clamps or for quick grip clamps, there are definitely differences in how they operate. F-style clamps are pretty much all the same. Bar clamps, pretty much all the same. Pipe clamps, all the same. But for the quick grip and things like that, like look at how it is and like about how they work, because like the release on the Pony Jorgensen I do not like at all. And then there's a difference between the Bessie and the jet clamps, and I'm actually starting to look at the Bessie clamps, and I kind of like the way that those close a little bit better. So anyway, make sure you understand, like don't just get the cheapest one, because it might not be the operation that you want. All right, let's see here. Dennis, could I use a marble door threshold for flattening a hand plane sole with sandpaper? So let's see here, marble threshold door. So I guess the thing that you're going to want to look. So great question, by the way, because that's I'll show you what I use, or what I have used, but I haven't done that in a very long time. All this stuff's probably going to collapse on me if I pull this out, but let's see if we can do it. Yeah, here we go. So here is what I use. Boom. You see how dusty this is. I have not used this in a very long time. This is a slate tile. So it's, or it might be a granite tile. It's whatever it is. Granite or slate. Who knows? It's a stone. But when you go to the store, so I just picked this up at Home Depot, and don't make the mistake of just going in and just grabbing one and thinking, oh, it's a stone, it's flat. Because these can dish out. So like literally take a straight edge with you that you know is straight, like a ruler or something, and go across it, kind of all three ways. So diagonally, this way, and then that way. And then obviously you can go around, just like the clock, and just make sure it's straight. Just look under it, hold it up to the light, and see if you have a gap underneath, because a lot of, like I had to pick through 3 or 4 to get the right one. And so if you look on here, you can see I did, these are like diamond lapping sandpaper, and I used the other one. I've got another one down there that I use for flattening, that I use bigger pieces. I probably wouldn't use a threshold just because it's more thin, and so it's going to wear really quickly, versus if you had like a big 12 by 12 one, then you can spray down a full sheet of sandpaper and then be able to kind of use all the different sides of it. You don't have to cut the sheet of paper down. I use this for, I used to use it for chisels, and I use it for my scraper sometimes. My card scraper, if I want to like hone up the edge, I can use that. But frankly, I don't use this very often, because I just use the, did y'all see that? Yes, I told you I was going to knock something out, but I knocked over my what is this thing? My thermometer humidity. We're at a 72.9 degrees. That one doesn't have humidity on it. But yeah, do that, and I think that you'll get a lot of usage out of just having a little stone like that. Works out really well for me. But if you have one, if you have the threshold just like left over for something, just check it for flat, and if that works for you, then go for it. But I like getting the whole larger dealio. All right, World of Wesley. What's up, World of Wesley? In my opinion, for a small shop, a benchtop joiner or a planer first. Wesley, I would never recommend a benchtop joiner. That is just one thing that it is one of the few things, even though Katie says I'm opinionated, I am opinionated. One of the few things I would never recommend, just because I personally have used some of these things, and I would never recommend a benchtop joiner for the work that I do and for the work that I think most people do. If you do really small work, like you're doing, if you're only joining boards that are 24 inches long or less, you'll probably be fine. But a benchtop joiner, the main benefit of a joiner is flattening boards, obviously, and to get flat boards, because a joiner does not have rollers to clamp it down. So a planer is different, because A planer has an in-feed roller and an out-feed roller that when you put the wood in, it smashes the wood down in between the planer bed and the roller, feeds it through. The cutter head does this little jobby and it shoots it out. On a joiner, you are the roller feed and you are the feed in and out. And so you have to be the one pushing it down against the bed and then pushing it against the outfeed table to keep that flat. And if you've only got a bed that's this long on a benchtop joiner, you've only got, you split that in half, obviously, for the cutter head in the middle. And if you've got a 4-foot board even, and you can only reference 20 inches of it on the front, and that thing dips down, it's not easy to do. So I would recommend a planer first anyway, but then I would recommend a floor standing joiner if it is at all possible to fit in your shop. And I know some shops are very limited in space, but if it is all possible, I would get a floor standing, because you're going to be limited by a benchtop one. In my opinion, for the work I do. Again, that could work for some people. All right, I like this, man. I like these questions coming in here. Katie. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, okay. Katie, been gearing up to do some projects incorporating metalwork for the ignorant person. Nobody's ignorant, it's just inexperienced. What would be the best way to approach working with metal occasionally as far as welding? So, honestly, it'd be to get a friend that welds. So welding, and I've gotten into welding. I do have a weld. I have 2 welders actually now. But I was a noob when I first started. I still am a noob. I've not done a ton of welding. I've done enough, and I was fortunate. I worked with Lincoln Electric for a few years, and then I just wasn't doing enough. I was like, I was like supposed to do 4 projects, I think, last year for welding, and only ended up doing 2. I was like, I just don't weld enough, guys. So, I still use their stuff and I promote their stuff, but it's not in any type of relationship like that way. Or I recommend their stuff. I don't necessarily promote it, but even the cheapest welder, like I would not get the Harbor Freight welder for like $80. I wouldn't do that. And flux core, so there's 2 types of welders of a MIG welder. There's 2 broad types of welder. There's MIG welding and TIG welding. TIG is tungsten inert gas, and MIG is, don't know. But MIG is metal inert? That doesn't make any sense. But MIG is, MIG, when you do like MIG welding, it can also be shielded, but it's a wire fed. So you pull the trigger. So if you've seen it, it's the one with the trigger. You pull the trigger, it feeds wire out and you weld. And within that, there's 2 categories, which is flux core and then shielded welding. Flux core welding is when the flux is in the middle of the wire. And as you weld, there's the flux in the wire that helps protect the bubble of the weld and helps it not oxidize and get a good weld. On shielded welding, which is what I use, you have to have a tank of argon gas, or a mixed tank of, it's actually 75-25 argon and nitrogen, I think, I can't remember. And then when you do that, that forms a little bubble around the weld, so it kind of steps up. And then TIG welding is you do it by hand. So you've got a pedal. It's like a three input process. You've got a pedal that does the voltage of the gun thingy, the electrode, and then you're holding the electrode, and then you've got the filler rod. So you're like using it's all this whole thing. I've done it some. It is very hard, but that's from most clean. So the most clean and like least amount of smoke and sparks is TIG. Then you've got the MIG welding with a shielded gas in the middle, and then flux core at the end. And the flux core is disgusting. It just it doesn't make a pretty weld, and stuff shoots everywhere, slag and all this junk, and you'll catch your shop on fire if you're not careful. So my advice would be to get a friend that has a welder. And really, in all honesty, because they'll hopefully have one of those 2 top ones. Because if you go in the bottom range to not spend a lot of money, it's one of those things that you get what you pay for. And so you find somebody that's got either a TIG welder or a MIG welder with shielded gas, and you're going to be way happier. And then if you find yourself welding a lot, then you can invest the money. But I personally would just not recommend welding flux core. It's just a hot mess. It's really bad. All right. I like the end of the question. As far as welding goes, that sounds like a something you'd find in Australia. Weldingos. It's like the coyotes that run around the well. Let's see. What do we have here? Will, local granite shops. Oh yeah, that's a great tip there. Will, is get cutoffs from a local granite shop. That would be fantastic to find something that's a little more thick. Hopefully you could get something that's like an inch and a half thick, and it'll probably not be as dished out as the other stuff. All right, what else do we have? Katie, reflecting back on the question at the beginning of the video and the suggestions when it comes to mind is power tool maintenance. Oh yeah, that's a good one. What to look for as far as wear, tear, cleaning. I'll tell you what, power tool maintenance, that's like a whole thing that it's something that I don't focus on. Like I'm not the guy who's like out and like, oh, which might surprise you, might not, but like has like the checklist and be like, oh, here's the monthly, here's the weekly and the monthly and the quarterly and the yearly thing. I don't do any of that. I use my tool until it stops working, and then when it stops working, or stops cutting straight or doing whatever, I fix it, get it to what it needs to be, and then move on. So yeah, I'm not good at maintenance. I'm kind of a use it till it breaks kind of guy, which is not a good thing. But there are some things that are more important than others. So one thing I do fairly regularly, about the only thing I do, is clean my table saw blade, just because when it starts getting gunked up, then it makes a huge, if you've never cleaned your table saw blade, by the way, you need to do it. And if you've got all that gum and pitch and resin just like gunked up on your blade, it slows it down, it creates more heat, makes it harder to push, and then it will also increase the chances of you burning the wood and of you having a bad finish on the cut, because if it's like around there, then you won't get a clean cut because it might have like some gunk on the side of the carbide. So for sure, that would be my number one maintenance tip. Clean your saw blades. And I use like a pitch and resin remover. There's a bunch of them out there, but Simple Green is also something I've seen a lot of people use, which is just like a household cleaner that is non-toxic and works well if you just let it soak in there. But yeah, as far as that other stuff goes, the other maintenance, I'm not your guy. I'll do it, and then I'll get everything set up and then just like hope that it stays that way. All right. Let's see. Katie again, welding question. Local welder just moved to Ohio. Oh yeah. Yeah, but if you have a makerspace or something like that, yeah, it'd be good. And that, I was thinking about that, Simo, as I was saying that. So blades and blade sharpening. Frankly, I've never sharpened a blade ever. I've never thrown a blade away either. I've only bought blades and kept blades. I have thrown away the only blades I ever throw away are like reciprocating saw blades or jigsaw blades, because those just get so dull and they're not carbide. So they're basically dead after you use them. I have probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 table saw blades and probably the same amount of circular saw blades, maybe more. And I've just like upgraded. So I'll probably be due for a table saw change at some point, the blade. But it's not because I've not gotten new blades because they were not sharp. It was just like it had a new feature. I want to try it out. I used to use the 50-tooth Freud combo, the industrial combo, combo blade. And then I moved to their Freud fusion blade. And then I think I used the saw stop one for a while. And it's just kind of like preference. And I used one from Amana for a while, and just kind of like seeing which ones I like. But I've never gotten to the point where I was like, oh, this blade is not cutting well anymore. And when I do get to that point, I probably will send it out to be sharpened, because I think you could get them sharpened for like $1 a tooth, maybe. So, if I've got a 40-tooth blade that costs $100, then it would make sense to have it sharpened and spend $40 to get twice as much life on it, because they've got big thick carbide pieces. So as long as somebody knows what they're doing and they can sharpen them, but the only thing I would be concerned about is the bevels on them, because a lot of the blades I have like special bevels, whether it's like you have the alternating tooth bevel, but you have like different chip breakers that have like that's not just a clean bevel. It's like they come up like this. It's like a tombstone bevel on the top. I know that the Freud Fusion has that, and so I don't know if I sent that out, that it would be, a good idea to get that sharpened that way. But I have no idea. Also, Simo, the bandsaw guides. What do I use on what saw guides do I use on my bandsaw? I just use so I've got the jet bandsaw, and I use just the rollers that it came with, the roller guides. So they are ball bearing roller guides that have, it's 2 ball bearings on each side. I used to have an old school rigid 14-inch bandsaw that was like the old Delta style. And I used I think they call them cool blocks. They were a graphite or something, like graphite blocks, I think they're called, if you look them up, they're called cool blocks. And those, like the ones that shipped with was like a metal, but the other ones, it's like graphite, and it kind of like lubricated or did something, I don't know. They're like a material. It wasn't like, let's say graphite, it's not like a block of it might have been like graphite impregnated like fabric or something that was woven. It almost looked like, trying to think of what to relate it to. Almost like if you saw the inside of a tire, and it's got like the threads going through it. So it's like, I have no idea. But cool blocks, I use those, and those are a good upgrade from just like the metal blocks. What else we have? I love these questions coming in here, guys. Keep them coming. I'm going to be done here soon, and then I probably have to go upstairs to make sure that Buddy's okay. J-Man's Nerdy Dad. What do I clean my cast iron top that isn't WD-40 or silicone based? Paint trucks for a living, and silicone is a big no. Yep, absolutely. It is a big no-no. To clean it, what I use to clean it typically is just Johnson's paste wax. So just the good old fashioned, by the way, this stuff just smells like a granddad. I mean, like, it just does. Like WD-40 and Johnson's, but like they should make deodorant. I'm sure they probably do. They should make like Johnson paste wax like deodorant, and WD-40 deodorant as well. But Johnson's paste wax is great. I'll put that on with a white Scotch-Brite pad so that it doesn't scratch up the surface. Sometimes I've used, I think it's down there. Might be right here actually. No, it's down there. I've also used Bow Shield, T9 Bow Shield. That's okay. If you do use T9 Bow Shield, spray it on and immediately wipe it off. Don't let it sit. At least that's my experience. When I've let it sit, it like fogs up the top, and it doesn't look good. Brian, what type of screws do I use for going into plywood edges? I don't do that a ton, quite honestly, but the Spax, what are they? I've got some right here. The Spax, what are they called? These guys right here. They're just like exterior deck screws, the Spax, and they have so it says like no pre-drilling in wood. A lot of time I would never say not to pre-drill in wood, but these are Spax exterior deck screws with they've got some special thing, but they've got like you want something that's got like teeth in it to do like some pre-drilling for you, and that's what these have. So anything that will pre-drill, whether it's like a tapped head or just some type of, it has like more of like a spur on it that kind of cuts, because if you just have like a regular smooth spiral on the tip of the screw, then it's not really like removing enough wood. It's not really cutting into it. It's just kind of pressing it to the side, and that's when it'll split. So you want something that's actually kind of like cutting its way in versus just moving everything out to the side, because that's where you'll get your splitting. Robbie Flair, I have, knock on wood, never had any major injuries in the wood shop, and mostly because I keep all my safety equipment in place, and I'm a pretty conscientious dude. So I kind of will leave it to that. The biggest injury I think I've had is like dropping something on my toe. I've never had any major cuts, just obviously some of the minor scrapes and stuff, scrapes, probably like scrapes on my knees from like, dropping a piece of plywood and like skinning up my shins or something. But yeah, I've never had anything of any substance to talk about, which is, again, you know, because I've been woodworking for, gosh, I mean, on and off for coming up on 20 years. I think I took that first woodworking class in 2002. So I've been doing it for a long time, and I've managed to not have anything horrible happen. And yes, thank you, Scott, pre-drill. Yeah, so no matter what screws you're using, do pre-drill. I kind of offhanded said that, but I didn't directly say that. Simo, I've not used the Carter guides, but I know that they make good products. I don't know any specific ones. I did look at some of those for a while when I was looking at upgrading, and then I used the cool blocks instead because I didn't want to change everything out. The cool blocks were more plug and play, and then these guys had the roller bearings. So the new one I had. Yeah, the Spax are awesome. So anyway, well, since Susan hasn't come back down here, that probably means, you know, we're at DEF CON 5. So I better close things up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. And we will have another video it's not going to be this coming week because I just already know that. But we'll be working on some tips and tricks videos. So hopefully you guys will be interested in that. Come back next week and we can talk more about it. But I hope you guys have an awesome week and get out there, build something awesome. And we will see you guys next time. See you guys. Bye.